He's right behind you.
Hi, I'm Avital Ash,
I'm Jessica Richards.
and this is
He's right behind
Ah.
you in quarantine.
What?
Still
Oh, in
in.
quarantine. Yeah. Gosh, some of this audio is rough, man. Sorry, just like when you cut out and I make you repeat yourself because I can't. God forbid we overlap for 2 seconds and nothing is hearable, audible, whatever.
Yes, I'm like, leave this part in so people understand the struggle.
Yeah, I am. That's what I'm thinking. Because it's hard.
Yeah, I feel a lot like we're those people on the Today Show, when they're talking and then there's like long pauses in between everyone's audio.
Totally.
This is what life is going to just turn into. We're just going to get used to it.
Yeah. Like in
And
real life, when we see each other, there'll be like a long delay because we're used to just pausing.
I know, maybe we'll say smarter stuff then.
Ooh, I like that idea. Probably not.
Probably not. Trump's still president, so.
Yeah. Oh, God. A character in this movie reminded me of Donald Trump. Today, we are talking about Train to Busan, which we both just watched. I'll start by saying I loved it. Jessica,
I
thoughts?
loved it. I
Yay!
loved it.
We agree.
I loved it. I was surprised so in quarantine right now, I have just not been my anxiety is so bad that for whatever reason it's manifested in that I can't sit down and watch TV.
Mm-hmm.
So even shows that I'm like really excited about after one episode, I'm like, nope, I gotta put on music and walk around. I don't know what's wrong with me. So the idea of watching a whole movie seemed very daunting, and right away I was into this. It was great.
It was so good. I have some questions. I want to like dive a little deeper and should have done it before this podcast. But you know what? There are no rules now. It's renegade times. But I'm so glad we both loved this movie. Look at that.
Yeah. No, I thought it was great, and I saw that there's plans to make an American version, and I found that to be disappointing because I honestly don't think you need to. This really is like holds up. I didn't have any problems with like, sometimes you watch something, you're like, well, it'll be different if they do it in America. Like, we'll change some cultural things. I don't
Yeah.
think you need to.
Yeah, I feel like, again, I'm sure I've said this on here before, but remake the bad movies, not the good ones.
That's true. Or the
Yeah.
things that are, you can really like take something and put an American spin on it.
Right.
It's like, oh, it would be so different if it happened here.
Yeah. There is an animated movie that is supposed to be a prequel to this. So I'm curious how you would
Yes,
feel about that.
Station to Seoul,
Mm-hmm.
and it came out after this.
It did?
Yes, it's a prequel, but it came out after this movie.
Interesting. It's weird. They're both on IMDb 2016, which is crazy.
Yeah, they're the same year because it's just a short animated thing that they put out with it.
But it says, I'm double checking here, but I think it's an hour and a half. No? Are you sure it's short? Yeah, it's an hour and 32 minutes.
Oh, interesting. But yeah, IMDb said that it came out after.
How do you put out 2 feature-length movies in 1 year? That's insane.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I've yet to put out.
Watch that.
Ask me when I get closer.
Yeah. Okay, so like let's do a quick overview. Train to Busan is a Korean zombie movie that takes place mostly on a train.
Yeah, South Korea.
Yes. And there is a moment where I'm like, just watch it. We could go beat by beat. We could try to, but I'm like, people just watch it. It's such a good movie.
Oh, it's really great, like action horror thriller. It's your basic premise of like something has happened and there's something in the air, and all of a sudden like people like riots start breaking out, people start acting weird, and then this businessman, fund manager, is taking his daughter to Busan to see her mom for her birthday, and they have a strained relationship.
Yes. The dad didn't show up. The daughter just had this recital where she sang a song. We find out later specifically for him. She learned it for him, and he didn't show. And her grandma shows her father. So the grandmother shows her own son, this girl's father, a video, which, is not the same. You can't just watch a video and act like you went to a recital. That doesn't count.
Parenting it's a marathon, not a sprint. But
it opens the movie before we even meet our main characters. We see. So this is where I'm like sort of confused what the significance of all of this is. That there's some sort of a spill, some sort of like
there's a leak
nuclear
at
waste.
the viaduct.
Yeah. And some guy is trying to get through some sort of road closure.
Basically, what it is, it's your pre-title credit kill, which I always love, that we see in a lot of horror movies, and that's just kind of setting the tone. But it's a guy, like a farmer's trying to get back to his land, and he's getting stopped, and it says like quarantine zone, and he has to talk to this guy, and he's like, "Oh, what is it, like another hoof and mouth thing? Like you just gonna kill my cattle again?" And he's driving through, and he hits a deer, and then he gets back in his car. The deer is dead, and he starts driving away, and then the deer jumps up and springs back to life.
With
Boom,
these
train to.
cool blue eyes.
Yes, the whites. This was like a new thing to me for zombies. I hadn't seen this where the whole eye becomes like kind of white marbly.
Very pretty. I'm like, it's almost worth it to be a zombie for these cool, clear blue eyes.
Oh,
But do
interesting.
it.
I didn't like it. It reminded me of my dog's cataracts,
Oh, interesting.
where everything just gets kind of foggy on the inside.
I see. Yeah, I just want like a smaller nose and blue eyes, and I think I'd be okay.
I would say these eyes, maybe the deer's eyes were more blue, but as the movie goes, humans get white eyes.
To me, they still looked blue.
Oh, interesting.
We see things differently. We don't see things as they are. We see things as we are. You know?
Are you sad and I'm white?
Maybe. Um, yeah, the way that the deer springs back to life, I thought looked really cool and very believable. Like I figure it had to be digital, but it
Oh,
looked real.
I would say that I thought the springing back to life was digital, and then when it stands up and we have the close up, that it's real. But I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, that would make sense. So then we're meeting our main characters. This dysfunctional relationship. The dad is very concerned about work and business, and he's very selfish. Ooh, I
Yes,
think Mail is
yeah.
here.
Who I will be calling fund manager for the rest of this podcast.
Yeah, I know none of the names. I'm scared to say any of them except for Sue Ann.
Yeah, I basically just wrote down like certain things. So I was like, he's the fund manager. He's got his daughter Sue Ann, and they're
Yeah.
taking the train to see the mom. And it's like, thank God they get on this train because all hell breaks loose.
Mm-hmm.
And as they're pulling away, they leave really early in the morning. And as they're pulling away, we see an attack on the platform, but the train is pulling off, and we just can't really see what's happening.
Mm-hmm. But we do see somebody jumps onto the train, sort of last second.
Yeah, a woman.
Yeah. And they do this cool thing where they sort of trick you. They talk about somebody being stuck in a bathroom and they say
Yeah,
he. And I'm like, oh, did they think it was a man? But then they do show the man. So there's like two sort of stowaways on this train. One
yeah.
is
They
like
say
a homeless man.
there's an odd man in the bathroom, which is how I also referred to him in the rest of my notes as odd man.
He's not that odd.
He's odd for civilization pre quarantine, basically. Like, he's a guy who's sitting, he looks homeless, he's sitting in the bathroom talking to himself, and he's saying, all dead, everyone's dead. So he is a little odd if you don't know what's happening.
Yeah, that's true. He's really just ahead of the curve, you know?
Once you know what's happening, it seems normal.
Yeah. You're like, you make sense. You just knew more than we did.
You're like, you're coping well.
Yeah, all things considered, you're doing pretty fantastic. Uh, and then, yeah, the TV we keep seeing on the news, they're referring to it as riots, but it's not riots. It's a fucking zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, that is a cool thing. It's almost like, so I don't have any really experience with trains in America because I live in California. So I kept kind of thinking about it like planes, like how on JetBlue you can like watch the news live.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like that. They have like TVs all throughout the train with like a live news feed airing the whole ride, which is a really
Yeah.
cool. In a lot of zombie movies, it's like you get glimpses of the outside world. Maybe they turn on the news for a minute, but I thought it was really cool to just have it play throughout so that if a character like noticed it, it wasn't like, okay, well now I decided to turn on the TV. It's like it's just always there.
Right. And they also show some clips of what seems like uploads from people's cell phone footage. And there's one clip in particular where it's like people in a parking lot
Oh, it's my
in a
favorite.
helicopter. That's your favorite? The helicopter overhead and things drop. So, okay, here's what I was wondering is like on the one hand, it almost seems like some sort of military thing where they're deliberately dropping zombies onto civilization. Or I guess it could have just been like cops or whoever. People are flying away in their helicopters and the zombies latch on and then finally they lose their grips and fall.
That's what I thought it was. So it's like the video is like some guy doing like I would imagine he's about to do some sort of skateboarding trick, like for
Hmm.
YouTube or something. And then like a big helicopter flies really close to them above and the camera like looks up and then all these bodies start dropping and they drop onto cars and they jump up and start attacking all the skateboarders. And that was my interpretation was like that's its own separate movie that's further along than ours where there's like some sort of attack happened and they all jumped onto the helicopter and then they're like the helicopter's trying to shake them loose. Really
Yeah.
cool.
It was so cool. I loved that. There's also a through line that comes up later that maybe is worth calling out here. Before they're on the train to Busan, uh, the trader guy, the dad, um,
Fun.
tells his the fund manager tells his assistant, seemingly to uh, this is not my language. Not South Korean, just money, just understanding money and funds. But he tells him to like sell a bunch of stock.
Yeah, I thought all that stuff would really like become important. I don't know if it is. It like ends up that he feels responsible for this in a way, but I don't think he is. I think it's just like they worked with certain people. They were working with the lab and the lab ended up being where the outbreak happens.
Yeah, I didn't really understand that connection. Later, he's on the phone and maybe it's his assistant. Somebody is saying this is our fault.
Yeah, well, he's like, "Is this our fault? We just did what we were told." But they don't work at the lab, so I'm going to go ahead and say it's not their fault.
Yeah, I don't understand.
But
This is
they
what I want to figure out.
I think it's just the idea that he is somehow complicit in this. So he takes on some of the blame, and that helps him kind of like get to the what he does at the end of the movie.
Well, I think they set it up really nicely. I mean, it's very on the nose, but I don't mind it. Mind it. The character transformation is like so much of this movie. We start with arguably our protagonist is the little girl Sue Ann, but her dad is selfish and only concerned with himself, which is exactly the same as just saying selfish. And by the end of the movie, he's willing to sacrifice for others.
He says to the daughter when she gives up her seat to an old woman, "At a time like this, only watch out for yourself."
Yeah,
Which is a
his
running theme between him. There's kind of like almost a Christmas Carol element to it between him and the old rich guy, where
oh
it's like
definitely.
he can kind of see like that's Christmas future.
Yeah, like he's on his way to be this guy who is maybe the real villain of the movie because the zombies you're like they don't know what they're doing. They're just like lifeless killing machines or thoughtless, brainless killing machines. But then you have somebody who is an adult man who consistently puts himself first in a way that is I mean, there was a part of me that, thinking about this podcast, we usually wrap up with who are you in this movie? Which character do you think is most like yourself? And there was a part of me that was afraid, like, what if I'm this guy? I think I might be this guy who just like, I just gotta survive, and survival kicks in and that's it. But I wouldn't be. I don't think I could ever be the kind of ruthless that he is, where it goes beyond just wanting to survive, and it becomes like throwing people away like they're pennies, like just discarding human life to save himself.
Oh, at one point, like way towards the end, he sacrifices the train conductor because he's like, well, the train, in my mind, he was like, well, the train's already going, so I don't need you anymore.
Right. The train conductor, by the way, who hopped off the train to save him.
Yeah, I mean, towards the end, this guy is really just like throwing young teenagers. I mean, it's just crazy. But in the beginning, he starts being like, we can't stop here. We have to keep going to Busan. So basically, like, this outbreak starts to happen on the train, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I really liked, and they use this a lot throughout the movie, the idea of like, we got to run from one car to the next, and there's zombies in this car, but there's not zombies in this car. Also, the idea that the zombies don't know how to use doors. So as long as
Mm-hmm.
you shut the door, they won't actually know how to push it open. They just keep going like through it. They don't know how
Yeah.
to manage it. There was like some really cool things that they did with zombies in this that I hadn't seen before. That was one. The fact that
I
when it
loved, yeah, that they're like if they don't see you, they don't chase you. So there's a moment where somebody throws water on one of the glass windows on the train and then just sticks newspaper up against it, and the
Yeah, and
zombies don't see them.
they calm down, the aggression starts to become more manageable, and like they can't see you in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of really cool things that they added to this that I was like, I love the idea of taking a zombie and like throwing new rules at it.
Yeah, I do too. And especially part of what you, and we talked about this with It Follows, like part of what I don't like about zombies generally is I'm not that scared of something that's like coming at me slowly. But these guys, they're fast.
Yeah, there's like a debate on this. I mean, I go back and forth because uh, it's like what's scarier, a fast zombie or a slow zombie? And it's like, well, maybe in the moment a fast zombie, but in like the world of movies, usually a slow zombie is scarier because there's more like tension and it builds until you can't escape. Whereas like with fast zombies, it becomes more of like an action movie.
Yeah, this definitely does feel like kind of like an action horror movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of World War Z elements to these zombies. That's what it kept reminding me a lot of that. So I was like, wait, when did World War Z come out? And that was in 2013. So that definitely came first. Especially towards the end, there's a part. Just watch the movie. We're just jumping into it. So uh, there's a part at the end where one zombie grabs onto a moving train, and then they all start grabbing onto that zombie, and they work like ants to like slow down the train.
Yeah, they form like a human carpet almost.
That was like that's like right out of the World War Z playbook. If you've seen World War Z.
I have not.
Oh, okay. First of all, you should. Brad Pitt is very handsome in it.
Oh my God, he's so hot.
Second, they do some in that one. Slight spoiler, but it's relevant to this conversation. There's like a wall that the zombies are trying to get over to get to the people. It's like a really, really, really tall wall, and the zombies all start throwing themselves on top of each other, like just climbing over a mound like ants. So it reminded me of that the imagery a lot.
That's cool. They do a lot of surprising and interesting things. Something that I loved here, and it reminded me a little bit of The Mist, is like that idea of I don't know if you could call zombies nature, but sort of, right? It's kind of like man versus nature. It's this natural disaster situation. And then there's man versus self, which is, you know, the dad trying to become a better person, which he does successfully. But the man versus man element, I think, is the scariest, is like just the way that people can treat each other and be so
Oh yeah.
selfish. Oh, so there's a moment where they've finally, you know, all of our heroes have basically gotten through all the trains with the zombies, and they're trying to get to the one train where the rest of the like healthy living human people are. And those healthy human people decide, what if everybody else is infected? Fuck that, we're not letting them in. It feels very like Trump border situation, like deciding that, you know, people, anybody that's not immediately surrounding us right now is the enemy. And so they put together all of their like ties, and they try and tie it to the door and form this thing blocking everybody from getting in. And that to me was the scariest, and like also the I think the most upsetting. So another, we have a few heroes, another set, and they do a really good job of introducing a bunch of characters quickly, and
Well,
you know who they
I
are,
want to
and you get
on that one part about where they all lock themselves in. I think that there is some underlying logic there that is like not bad, which is like, okay, we understand that these people get bit and then they turn into it. So if these people are like 4 train cars down and they're having to get through 4 train cars full of zombies to get to us, there's no way they're getting here in one piece. Like that's not a bad thought process. But then the next thought process is, okay, well, we should just make sure that they don't have any bite marks on them. It's not just like, let's lock them out cold
right.
turkey.
Once
That's
they've
where
made it in, at least. Well, so they're not in yet. Okay, here's the thing. Yes, I agree. Like there's a self-preservation that kicks in. You know, these people aren't trying to be malicious. Basically, the rich businessman guy who owns a railroad, railroad, doesn't he say he's like the head of some sort of train thing or something?
he said something that I didn't understand.
He's the COO of some sort of operations for travel. I don't know. Sorry, guys. But
He's a rich old businessman. That's what I wrote down in my notes.
yeah, and you can see where he's coming from, and he's also fear mongering. So like the people in their train are relatively normal and calm until he starts being like, they're going to come in here and kill us, and then everybody else is scared, which is understandable. Everybody's just trying to survive. But
the problem then is when our people are trying to get in and they're trying to keep them out, and there's like 1,000 zombies behind them, and it's like, look, at a certain point, we're all gonna crash into each other anyway. Like, it's better to just open the door, let us in, and close the door, and then if you want to fight us. But it's like you're about to let all the zombies in.
I know I was kind of screaming at the TV at that point, but I'm like, well, they don't know. They don't see the hundreds of zombies behind them.
I love that they're like, kick them out, kick them into the next train car. And it was like the one further away from the zombies. And I was like, good, I'd want to go there anyway.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't really make any sense. They like let them pass through to the other side, which, I mean, if they're just like listening and like, all right, I guess we'll go to the other train, they're probably not zombies. And they're all like lucid, everybody's normal and calm. But
well,
fine.
It's because the fund manager attacks the rich businessman, and then he's like, I see it, it's in his eyes.
Right. It reminded me a little bit of like the Salem witch trials of the Crucible specifically, like I saw Goody Proctor dancing with the devil or whatever. It just felt so like heat off of me and onto him. But I think we should set up really quick some of our other characters because there's a huge thing that happens right before they do finally make it into the car, which is we've met this sweet guy, this older man who is my older man, whatever, an adult man. I think he's my favorite character. He is so fucking badass and cool.
Oh,
And
the pregnant guy?
the pregnant woman's husband. We meet him because the little girl, Sue Ann, is like waiting to use the bathroom, and he advises her to go use a different bathroom, saying that two people are peeing in this one bathroom, which I thought meant like two people were in there fucking. But
Me
then
too.
later I was like, yeah, good. Glad it wasn't just me. It's like, oh no, he means his wife is in there peeing for two. And he becomes like sort of her little ally. And he leads the charge as we're going through this movie. He is just kicking zombie ass. And he's so cool while he's doing it. He's just like got this laid back, effortless energy while he's just like smashing through zombies.
Well, you get the feeling he's like the working class man.
Yeah, totally. He immediately hates our fund manager guy.
Well, he hates our fund manager because our fund manager closes the door on him and his pregnant wife, leaving them to the zombies for a minute.
Yeah. Although I think the fund manager guy is not a good guy, but in that moment I was like, oh, he didn't know. It kind of felt the same as later on with just trying to survive. He didn't know what he was doing.
There's also like a high school baseball team and like a hot cheerleader on board.
Yeah, and when we first meet them, I was confused by that. I'm like, is this guy supposed to be gay or what? She basically, all the guys are kind of like ogling her, and they're happy that she's on this trip with them. But then she goes and sits next to the one guy who's like, don't sit here.
I thought he was just like an introvert. It was really cute. He had like earbuds in, and she's like, what are you listening to? And then she's like, there's nothing on it. And it's like him just being like, I want people to think I'm busy.
Yeah, I just want to be left alone. Aww,
and he's like
yeah.
our like unsuspecting hero.
Yeah, yeah. They do a really good job of sort of setting up these archetypes, but without spending too much time on them. Like just giving you glimpses, and then everything comes together.
The two older women.
Mm-hmm. The little grannies. Although one of them I thought looked legit like she was 20 years old with like a little granny wig on.
Right.
Yeah.
One is rich. She's the one with the wig. And the rich and like stingy. And the other is like, to some extent, like poorer and more giving.
Oh, I didn't register the richer, poorer.
Because she said something like the one is like bringing like, an egg on. She's eating a hard-boiled egg. And she's like, it's only an hour. Like, we'll make it or whatever. She seemed like much more sophisticated. And like,
Right.
I think the difference in like the hair also and the wardrobe was, to me, it felt like one was like a rich businessman and the other was like the pregnant man. It's like the same archetype keeps happening of like the rich one who is selfish and the poor one who keeps giving.
Right, right. Oh, so we have one zombie on the train earlier who kind of is attacking people and turning them, but we haven't seen like a full horde of zombies, and we don't until they stop early. Basically, the train gets told that there's a military there to help them.
I'm just going to say it, and it's not going to be right, in like Dijon.
Yeah, they're stopping somewhere, but the businessman hears that they're going to be quarantined, which I was like, So what? Quarantine's not that bad. Like, there are zombies. What do you care about being quarantined? He's reacting
I
like that's death.
Well, I think it's because the guy he called, so he knows a guy there, and the guy made it sound bad, where he was like, he's like, it's safe, right? And he's like, you're gonna be quarantined, which I think meant like you're gonna be put in a herd full of people, and in that kind of a situation, I don't think it's safe. It's not like, oh, sure, you're just gonna be put in like a hotel room in quarantine. It's like, no, you're gonna be put in a herd of people, and you're gonna be surrounded by guns, and it's gonna be dangerous for a child.
Yeah, I guess that's true. That moment felt interesting. Like, hey, we're in quarantine. What up?
Totally different quarantine.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, 100%. This quarantine is like a cakewalk, especially comparatively.
Especially because we don't have people who get coronavirus don't start attacking us.
Yeah. And we're not forced to be in a horde of people that might have coronavirus. We get to just stay home and keep each other safe.
This was like there's a lot of like class warfare in this, and this was another example. So the rich fund manager calls somebody who says, oh, no, 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 you don't want to go through the main station, you're going to get quarantined, you want to come to the east station. So when
Mm-hmm.
they get there, he breaks off and is like trying to go his own secret route, and the daughter is like, why are we going this way? And like the odd man finds him and is like, I heard what's going on, I'm going with you. And
Mm-hmm.
the daughter's like, we need to tell everybody else. And the rich fund manager, is like, no.
Yeah. It's and then they start going in that direction. What happens? Oh, the
So
guy
basically,
calls.
this whole part, the like stop it. Once again, I'm going to say it wrong. Dejan. That whole stop was my favorite part of the movie. It was
I
so
loved it.
cool. They get off, they pull into the train station, and they're making this like, it's like end of the line. We're not going to Busan after all. And they pull in, and there's nobody there. And they've been told the military is going to be waiting for them. Nobody there. It's like crickets. They like
Mm-hmm.
get out, they wander through. There's nobody in the train station. They're like on these escalators going down, and it reminded me so much of like airports where it's just like this one way down.
Mm-hmm.
And you see the backs as they're like coming into frame. You see the backs of all the military, and it's like, okay, maybe they're holding the line or something. And then it's like one zombie you see, and then it turns out they're all zombies. It was so cool.
Yeah. It was so cool. You're kind of expecting that they might be zombies, or at least I was, but it's still really well done. And then it's like they're on an escalator going up, but the zombies are coming down, or maybe it's the other way
So
around, but
they're
basically,
going down because they're leaving the train station, and then the zombies are coming towards them. I mean, this would really freak me out too. It's just that feeling of being trapped, of like, how do you turn around when you're on an escalator that's moving down and try to run
right.
up people behind you?
I love that visual of just trying to run the other way on an escalator. Like you're on an apparatus sending you in one direction and you're like running against it. And then people are hopping over it. Like he lifts his pregnant wife, the one guy, and like sets her over on the stairs on the other side so she can run, and then he hops over, and it's just chaos, but in the best way. I mean, it's filmed so well. Like I think sometimes in action movies I check out because it's just such a flurry of activity and I don't necessarily feel like I can follow it. And here it's like really smooth and compelling, and I was along for every moment of that journey.
Same.
And one of my favorite moments is so then they're trying to run back to the train basically to get away from all of these zombies. And the pregnant guy, I guess we'll just call him the pregnant guy, even though he's not, his wife is, but the pregnant guy like swoops in and saves Suan. And then I didn't catch who did it, but a zombie, maybe you did. One of the zombies is like attacking the fund manager, and someone just drops a coat, like
Odd
a
man.
odd man did it. He dropped his coat.
Yeah, well, not his because he still has it, but he dropped a coat.
He just picked a coat off of somebody, I guess.
I don't know, but it was definitely, maybe he had two coats.
And it's so perfect because it's like this, it's kind of like the same thing with sticking the newspaper on the windows. It's like just by temporarily sort of blinding this zombie, just literally putting a coat over its head, then the fund guy can escape. Yeah, it's so good. And then he has learned his lesson a little bit now that pregnant guy has saved his daughter and shown up for other people, and he's like trying to reciprocate a little bit, and he gets on the train, and then he's trying to help pregnant guy onto the train, but pregnant guy basically is like, I got this, move out of the way, and
Well, it's
uses
so
a shield.
That whole part is so good. It was like edge of your seat. I was so into it. They're racing down the train. The rich guy convinces them that they need to start the train, but we don't have all our people on board. And the train
Mm-hmm.
starts pulling away, and we get like you get pockets of people. So it's like the pregnant lady, the kid, and the nice old lady all get stuck together.
Mm-hmm.
With, I think with Odd Man. And then still coming, you have baseball players and pregnant guy and fund manager, and they're running, running, running to the train, and it's moving. And then like there's this great part where all the zombies that are on the second floor push through the window, and now they're all like falling on top of the train. It was so cool.
Oh
And
my gosh.
and then we get two baseball players get taken out, so it's just the one baseball player left, and they all make it on board. It was so good.
It's so good. Uh, so at this point, we're jumping around. We're all over the place, but we did talk about our heroes trying to get to the back of the train. I don't know my geography. The front of the train. They're trying to
Okay,
get through to where the other living people are, who have shunned them, who are like, we're not letting you in here. You
well,
stay on your side of
basically,
the border.
okay,
But
basically, I loved how they set this up. It was like such good scripting to like really orient us. Was it was like okay, our baseball player, pregnant man, and a fund manager are on train 9. The kid, pregnant lady, that group are stuck in a bathroom in car 13. Rest of the people are on car 15.
yes, they do a really good job. I mean, I forgot those numbers as soon as I heard them because numbers to me are might as well be Korean. Uh, but yeah, they do like really orient you, and they
Yeah,
when they
and
finally get. Oh, go ahead.
because um because the pregnant guy and the fund manager are talking to the group in the bathroom. They've got their cell phones, and then the baseball player is talking to the hot cheerleader who's on car 15. So it's this nice kind of like this is how we know all this.
Yeah, it was a great use of cell phones too. There's a moment where they figure out that zombies respond to sound when it's
Oh,
dark, especially if they can't see. So the fund manager uses pregnant guy's phone, leaves one phone or throws one phone in one direction and then calls it so the zombies all chase the phone. That was a cool move that I haven't seen in a zombie movie. Although I don't watch zombie movies.
and then
But I
that led
liked that.
to my favorite joke, which might be the only joke of the movie. When later when they're in the bathroom and the fund manager
Oh.
says to pregnant guy that he has a really tacky ringtone, and he's
Yeah.
like, and then he just kind of looks over to the young guy, to the young baseball player, and goes, "Do you know how to change that?"
Yeah, I love that he just doesn't know how. That's so good.
So good.
Um, so in all this hullabaloo where they're finally getting everybody, trying to unite all the healthy living people, and the side that with the wealthy COO that has like barricaded themselves in, not letting our heroes in essentially. So now pregnant guy is fighting off all of these zombies basically single handedly. Fund manager jumps in and tries to help out a little bit, but in that process, his hand gets bitten, and that to me is like one of the most infuriating moments because it's like if the COO's car had just opened their door 2 minutes earlier, he'd still be alive.
And that's what he says. That's what fund manager says is we could have all made it.
Yeah,
And he keeps
it's
going,
so
why?
upsetting.
Why? We could have saved them. Why? It's so good.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. It's so upsetting, but it's so good.
Oh, but you can see in that moment, there's like kind of a flash of like, of he's right. We could have saved them. We were going to get in anyway. We could have saved those people. And in that moment, that's where the rich old man twists. And he's like, you can almost see that like political thing of like, I'm going to get blamed for those deaths. So the only way to like keep moving is to blame all these people and get them out of here so that no one thinks about what just happened.
Right. Again, it reminds me a lot of Trump. It's very like, initially saying there is no virus, this is a hoax, it's being blown out of proportion, and then later being like, there is a virus, and in fact, I was calling it that before anybody else was.
Yeah, it's just, it's that thing of you can never be wrong.
Yeah.
And
An
it's just,
unwillingness to admit any sort of mistake.
yeah, and they kick them out, and it's this real sad moment where they're like, they all start yelling, get out.
Mm-hmm.
And our baseball player tries to leave the hot cheerleader there. He's like, it'll be safer for you. And she's like, I'm going with you.
Yeah. which ends up being a good move because in all of this chaos, another person that has lost their life, in addition to our awesome pregnant dude, who I was very sad to see go, is one of the grannies. She gets stuck too. And
The
so her
nice one.
sister, yeah, the sister sees her while. What is everybody else distracted with at this point?
Oh, okay. So basically, what's happening is she watches the nice other old lady get killed, and it really affects her. And she's sitting alone, kind of looking out because she helps let them all in too, because she sees her sister, and she's like, "Let them in." So she's still at the
She
back of the train.
tries. Yeah.
And then they kick everybody out. And so all of the rest of the people in the train are moving forward because they're trying to now lock the door between them and the people they just kicked out. So they're on one end and she's on the other, and she sees her sister as a zombie. And she kind of has this dialogue where she's kind of being like, you're so stupid. You're always you're always doing stuff for other people. And then she goes and she opens the door.
And lets all the zombies in. Meanwhile, everybody's so distracted by their perceived enemy that their backs are turned to their real enemy, which are the zombies.
It's so good.
Yeah. It's a really interesting moment because why do you think she does that? Basically this granny in effect is killing herself and everybody in her car by opening the door.
I think this is my interpretation of the scene. So she goes and she puts her hand up against the glass where her sister is, and she says this whole thing about you're so stupid, you're always helping other people, and then she says thank you. And she looks behind her and she sees the people that she's in the car with that didn't save her sister, that wouldn't be, that aren't the nice giving people like her sister. And she's kind of like, fuck all of us.
Yeah. So I get that and it makes sense and I think it's a great moment in the movie, but at the same time, when she and the cheerleader, so the cheerleader is trying to let them in when this is going down and somebody like has a hand over her mouth and is like holding her back.
I'm calling him the train attendant because he reminded me of a flight attendant. But that was the train
Okay.
attendant that the old rich man has convinced to be on his side through a lot of this.
Right.
That's who's
But there
holding her.
there are a lot of people that are sort of just victims of the fear mongering that's happening. And there might even be people that want to let them in that don't know how to speak up for themselves. Like, I think they're not all villains necessarily. Some of them are probably just meek and timid.
I stand by her decision.
Why?
I think in that moment, I think if you go along with something, I know what you're saying, but it's also that thing of like, any of them could have left to go to the further train with the people like the cheerleader does. If they were really upset by this whole thing, they could have jumped into that car with them. No one was saying you couldn't get into that car with those people. So
Right.
anyone that stayed was basically you were accepting the situation and you were either okay with it or you were okay enough with your own survival to be like, fuck those people. So I was okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, I was okay with it because I liked it for the story and it was a cool dramatic turn. But realistically, I guess, especially because, at this point, we don't hate the COO as much as we will later. Like, he becomes a full on villain as the story progresses. But I was hating him and I was really mad and I was like, kill that guy, fuck him. But at the same time, our fund manager is basically him at the start of the movie and he gets a shot at redemption and he does find it and he does change. And so I'm like, maybe that guy could have changed. I don't think so based on the way the rest of the movie goes.
But so I would say it's in the movie already, which is that the fun guy closes the door on pregnant guy and pregnant lady, and then later makes a choice to open it to them. That
Mm-hmm.
he and even in that moment he closes it, but then he doesn't like hold it against them. He like opens it pretty quickly afterwards they get in.
Mm-hmm.
But we see old man, not only is he like, I'm not letting you guys in, but then when the baseball player gets his arm through, he's trying to like break the guy's arm and he just won't stop fighting, in the sense where I was like, this is the whole length of time for you to have a moment to change and you're not taking it.
Although to your point earlier, and maybe I'm just playing devil's advocate a little bit here, but like that arm reaching in could be a zombie arm. He doesn't know.
They know it's not a zombie arm because there's no blood on it. There's no veins. Like the little girl is totally normal behind him, and the old rich man is looking at the little girl when he's doing this.
Yeah. I know, I expected him to have a change of heart there, and nope.
There's such a difference between who is infected and who is not infected that this whole argument of him being like, I bet they're infected, doesn't hold water once you see them.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that no one's like, they look pretty normal.
Yeah, well, he's like, I see it in his eyes, and the zombie eyes are so clearly white, or in your case, blue, and his
Hmm.
eyes are so clearly not at all like that. In that sense, it does feel like fuck all these people because you can clearly see there's nothing wrong with them. If you want to do like take off your shirt, let me make sure you're not bitten, sure, I'm on board for that. But just like, oh, rich guy said he's got it, I'm on his side. I was like, they can all go.
Well, so they do, or at least there's this cool twist. Basically, all of our heroes are watching as blood is splattering against the wall that separates them, and the zombies are coming in and tearing everybody apart and eating them, and it looks like they're all goners. But then later we see that the rich COO and the we'll call them train attendant, since you've started that, are actually hiding out in a bathroom, and they've survived.
Well, and it's
And
also a little like to what you were saying a second ago. It's a little bit like what we see right now with all these people protesting, like put us back to work.
mm-hmm.
That idea that it's like one like rich person is like, I see it in his eyes, and then everyone else is like ready to jump behind him and just be like, cool, I don't know what's happening, but I'm gonna go along with you on this.
Right, totally. I mean, I was one of the protesters on Manhattan Beach without a mask, holding a sign saying "Open the beaches" or whatever.
Huntington Beach.
But what was that?
It was
Huntington Beach.
Huntington.
And even as I said it, I'm like, I'm mixing up Jaws and reality a little bit. I don't
They're like,
remember what's what anymore.
I think people in Manhattan Beach are cool. They're probably taking the day off. So
Sorry, Huntington Beach.
yeah, it was like Huntington and now Newport. But yeah, it's like there is a little bit of like this. I mean, it's just hard. We're so in it right now. It's hard not for me to like see parallels with what's happening today with so much in this movie.
Oh, there's so many. And I mean, it goes to show that, it was pertinent then in 2016 to the situation there. It's pertinent now in 2020 to here. It's like the more things change, the more they stay the same.
And just to like be helpful to other people. That's the main message of this whole movie is like, don't think of only yourself.
Yeah, and it is heavy-handed. Like, I would think it would bother me, but it really doesn't. I just felt very inspired by it, even today. I just felt like I want to do more good.
It doesn't bother me. It's definitely heavy handed, but it doesn't bother me only because I think the situation is so dire that I think it makes sense for it to be so extreme. Like in some situations it's like, wow, they really flipped that switch fast and like there's not a lot at stake here. But it's like things are at stake so quickly and it's so serious right away that for people to be like, no, you only help yourself. It feels like this is the worst moment of their lives and their true colors are showing.
It's true. There is, I think, something cool about the fact that in this universe, it's basically the fund manager and the COO who are selfish, and everybody else's default, I guess one of the grannies isn't, but for the most part, everybody's default is really to help each other. Like even the train conductor who like gets off the train to save this worthless piece of shit who doesn't deserve it, or the daughter, like who gives up her seed, or everybody's just like the bulk of them. Their default is to look out for each other, which I like.
I do also love when he gets that call that's basically like the guy being like, is this all our fault? He's in the bathroom by himself and he hangs up and he like literally washes his hands.
Mm-hmm.
Like trying to wash his hands, like wash the guilt off himself, wash the blood off his hands.
Right, of the man he used to be.
Yeah, I really, really liked him, and I could not stop thinking about, they're going to do an American remake, James Wan is producing,
Mm-hmm.
and I could not stop trying to cast who should play him in America.
Ooh, that's a fun game.
I just really want it to be Keanu Reeves.
I want to cast the other guy in my head now. I got to think about who it would be. Ooh, I would like Clive Owen for the main guy, and then the fund manager.
Ooh.
And then in an ideal world, weirdly, I'm like, I like Robin Williams for the pregnant guy.
He's too old, also dead. for that
I
role. But
know. That's why I said in an ideal world, he wouldn't be dead.
yeah,
Um,
I don't know. Oh, you know who would be good if we're just going like British is oh fuck. The guy from Bridesmaids, Chris
oh, Chris O'Dowd.
yes.
Is he British or
He's
Australian or something? I don't know. Yeah, I'd like him.
we're
He'd
going
be
like
good.
very European because what's Clive Owen? He's British, right?
Yeah, he's British.
We're
Yeah,
doing
I like
okay.
that.
Fuck the American remake. We're doing a British remake.
I mean, American movies cast British actors anyway, so I think that's all on
But
the
I could
table.
see Chris O'Dowd in that part.
Yeah, I could too. I read that the pregnant guy was the fund manager's, what is the word? I can't, my brain. A workout person.
Trainer.
Thank you. Yeah. His
Oh,
trainer.
he is definitely my favorite character.
The pregnant guy.
Yeah, especially because
Me
like in
too.
all these moments he keeps calling him jerk and asshole. So it's like zombies are coming and he's on the ground and he's like, "Get up, asshole!"
Yeah, he's just so funny and likable.
He's like, "Get in here, jerk!"
Yeah, he was
Real
great.
good.
I mean, I think it was so well performed and that actor's so likable, but also that role. Like, it's so hard to separate him. You're just like, this guy's awesome. He's a hero. He's kind. He's sarcastic. He's funny. He loves his wife.
Hmm. Names the
He's just great.
baby.
Yeah, he names the baby in his dying moments.
I did cry at that scene.
I didn't know, at first I thought he was calling his wife's name, so I didn't register the name he gives the baby, and I wonder if it has any significance.
I don't know if it has significance.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I guess one more thing that I want to touch on that I don't know exactly how to describe, but I did just love it is there's like an explosion and one of the trains is tilted and they're sort of like trapped underneath the train. This is where Odd Man sacrifices himself for them.
Yeah, they make it almost to Busan. There's like something blocking the track at a train station, and they have to ditch this train, and they have to get to another train. The conductor says, "If anyone's alive on board, I'm going to find another train. I'll be on the left track." So then it's like
Mm-hmm.
this like race against time of like everyone's got to get off this train and get to the other train.
Mm-hmm. And this is where our COO, who's still in the bathroom, surrounded by zombies, is trying to figure out how to get to the next train. And so the guy that he's quarantined with, so to speak, is like, "Is it safe?" And he goes, "Yeah, it's safe." And then thankfully, the conductor assistant guy, the train guy, I was glad he kind of peeks out instead of just going for it. He's checking to see like, is the coast actually clear? But as soon as he peeks out, the COO shoves him out of there, basically treating him as a human shield so that
Like
all of the zombies
diversion.
attack him and then he just flees.
Yeah, he's a human diversion.
Not even a diversion, but like a shield. Like he just throws him in front. I guess it's both.
And at this point now he's openly willing to sacrifice people because he also sacrifices the hot cheerleader. That part was really sad.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Our baseball hero just she gets bit and she's turning and the baseball hero just sits with her and holds her until she turns and then she bites him.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's very Romeo and Juliet.
it's like that's what Brad better fucking do in this situation for me.
Really? I would be like, Amir, run.
No, we till death do us part, motherfucker.
Yeah, but death would already have done you part. He can still live.
You know what? By the time death took over is the time I start biting him. So we better stick around for that second. If he
He's
leaves
gotta.
5 minutes, he leaves 5 minutes before I die. Divorce.
Yeah, that's fair. I
I will
mean,
divorce you in my zombie almost zombified state.
fair. All right. Well, I can't. To each their own. You know.
But if we ever renew our vows, that'll be in the new vow. You promise
Even
to stay with me until the second I turn into a zombie, and then you're single again.
whatever you say. That's allowed. Uh, But that shot where they're like trapped under the train where Odd Man sacrifices himself, I loved the way that was shot. I just loved the way it looked. It felt so like weirdly sci-fi, dystopian. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. It just looked really cool. And then finally, our pregnant woman, Sue Ann, and her father make it onto the train that's headed to Busan, where the big bad, the COO, has been turned into a zombie, or he's on his way. He's in the process. And this is like the final showdown
Mm-hmm.
where the dad manages to get the COO off of the train, manages to kill him, but not before he gets bit. And now he knows he has to sacrifice himself in order for the pregnant woman and his daughter to live. So he sort of says a goodbye to his daughter, super sad, who she's just shouting for him, like, don't go, don't leave me. And in the moments before he flings himself off the train, he remembers her as a baby fondly,
Mm-hmm.
which I like in theory, and it's nice and emotional, but I didn't need the shots specifically of him like flashing back to her as a baby, and it's this like bright white light and it just sort of looks different than the rest of the movie, was the only moment where I was like, all right, this is a little cheesy.
I was into it. There's also a part like earlier where when the men are trapped in the bathroom, where the pregnant guy says something to him about like, dads do a lot of the sacrificing, and they always are to blame because we're always gone working, kind of a thing. Like he's got the speech with him where it's like dads are always the bad guys, and there's definitely like a dad message in here since we have these like strong dad kind of relationships going.
Mm-hmm.
And in that scene, he's was such a bad dad. I love earlier when he gives her a Wii for her birthday, and he's like, "You don't like it?" And she looks down, and she's already got a Wii that he gave her for Child's Day. And it's like
Right.
just so absent. And in these moments
Mm-hmm.
when he's about to die, what he's remembering is when he first held her and how present he was.
Yeah. I
And
I
I thought,
agree. I like that moment in theory. I didn't like the way that it was done. I think I could have used like quicker flashes of it. Something about the way that it was shot took me out of it, personally.
okay.
But he's finally like this present dad in his final moments. And Prego and his daughter make it off the train. There's a tunnel. They can't quite tell what's on the other side, but they start walking through together, holding hands. And then we see there's military on the other side with their guns aimed at these two people. They don't know if they're zombies. They don't know if they're human. They're like, we might have survivors or we might have attackers. And they radio somebody asking what they should do. And they radio back saying, kill them. And then Sue Ann starts singing the song that she sang at the recital for her dad. And that's when presumably it either just melts their hearts, or I figured, okay, they're like, zombies don't sing like that. And they lower their guns. And they survive. Uh,
That sounded very like American Idol judgy. Zombies can't sing that
pretty good for a zombie.
good.
Yeah, it's I thought I didn't know in that moment if they were going to shoot them. Like what a bleak ending it would have been if the soldiers just
Very
gunned them
limited,
down. I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
but I loved
Me
it.
too. It felt like very much like a Shakespearean tragedy kind of.
I mean, it's interesting to hear kind of a little bit of your thoughts on it because, like you said, you don't watch a lot of zombie movies. I watch a ton of zombie movies. So to me, it was like, well, obviously, something that just goes with zombie movies is the bitten. Somebody gets bitten, somebody gets sacrificed. It's always really fucking sad. It's like a great stake that's built in a zombie movie, so you see it
Yeah.
coming, and it's always effective. And I
It's
loved
true.
it had a lot of the I really like a lot of the elements of like we're trapped on a train. I like the groupings. I like the mix and match. All of a sudden it's these people together, now it's these people together. And uh, I,
Yeah.
I I thought it took a lot of different elements from successful movies and it put them together to make a new movie, and it was great.
Also, shout out to the extras who crushed it. I feel like it was really cool that whenever there were zombies, they were scary and they were active. It never felt like you were watching extras who were just like waiting for lunch. You know what I mean? They all really nailed it. The performances were great. The writing was great. There is one thing that I want to shout out because I thought it was so bizarre, and I don't mind it. It's just funny and doesn't really fit with the rest of the movie. Is when the fund manager is on the phone with his mom, Sue Ann's grandma, who's like calling in the moments before she turns, presumably, because her voice is like throaty and sick and something's not right. And then she basically says, I love Sue Ann. And then it's like, but she only ever cared about seeing her mother, that bitch. And then it like goes back to zombie voice or whatever. And it sounds like she dies. And maybe it's like, okay, they become their worst selves in the moments before death or something. But we haven't seen that with any of the other characters. So that was a weird moment for me.
Same. I thought it was gonna set up something that, like you say, maybe it's like the poison or the aggression of being a zombie. Like that's the beginning of just the aggressiveness of it. But we didn't see it with anybody else.
Very odd. Who do you think you are in this movie?
Um, I would like, I would like to be hot cheerleader. In this situation right now, I'm with Brad, so I can't be hot cheerleader. But like getting on a train to follow boys and like really trying to force something and then really being like into this guy and like going through all this is like the one I really related to.
I relate to that too. I feel like I'm equal parts cheerleader and baseball player. I got my headphones in, although I probably would actually be listening to music, but they're definitely I get in modes where it's just like don't talk to me, but I know I'm not mean enough to actually tell somebody to not talk to me, so it's easier to just pretend I'm listening to music. But then I also have definitely been that like thirsty in high school where I'm like, look at that loner boy, he needs me.
Oh, immediately I was like, I want to see a version of this that is just about the teenagers.
Yeah. Oh, that's so you. I'd watch that too. That would be really good. Yeah, there's like several movies within this movie.
Oh yeah, that's the great thing. They're making a sequel, and I heard it's like it's not necessarily like a direct sequel. It's just about like other people doing the same thing. And there's so many of those you could make because this it really is like this big wide world they set up, and we keep seeing other things happening. Where like the helicopter with the skaters, it was
Mm-hmm.
like everyone is in their own movie, and the movies are at like different running times.
Yeah, I know. I'd watch them all. This is great. Great job to everybody involved.
Yeah, I would love to see this as like a TV show almost, where it's like focusing on all these different groups. It was great. I'm so into it. I'll watch whatever they put out next.
Me too. I'm glad we did this one. Let us know what you guys think. Leave comments, send us messages. Also, thanks to all the people that have sent us nice messages and left nice comments. It's been really nice. We've gotten some awesome feedback that I was going to say makes it worth it. The reality is it's worth it just because it's fun to watch movies and talk about it, but it makes it like extra worth it and more meaningful and makes me want to keep doing it is all the nice things that people have said. So thanks. If you feel like dropping us a line, we're at He's Right Behind You podcast on Instagram, and that's it because we haven't bothered to make a Twitter or an email.
Right, so don't even try.
Thank you guys for listening. I think next we'll do either like American Psycho or we talked about doing 12 Monkeys, which I've never seen.
It's so good.
So maybe one of those two. Have you heard people cheering at 8 p.m. for the...
No, I'm in Burbank. We don't like that. We're quiet area that would, I'm sure, be very, you know what I mean? Everyone in Burbank is kind of like more uptight.
Mm-hmm. Well, we don't really hear it here either. We occasionally have, people are, for
Really?
anybody who doesn't know, people are cheering at 8 p.m. for healthcare workers. Healthcare workers? Is that an encompassing enough term? For medical professionals that are helping during this time. And people just cheer out their windows at 8 p.m. And we've done it a couple times, but we can never hear anybody else do it.
I'd like to think it's for all essential workers, like not just healthcare, for like grocery store people and all that.
Yeah.
I think in a remake of this, I want more romance. I definitely want to see two people that are like stuck in the zombie apocalypse fall in love.
I wonder if the fund manager had survived, if he and the pregnant lady would have started a new family together.
Or if he would have gotten back together with his wife now that he was better.
Yeah, but I think she's dead.
No, I don't think so because Busan is okay.
Yeah, but she hasn't answered their calls at all.
I mean,
That's pretty suspect.
that could just be like bad cell service. We don't know.
I don't think so, because they were getting her voicemail. Like, it was ringing, right? At one point. And also, when your daughter's coming into town, like, that's not the time that you stay away from your phone.
No, I just meant like with a zombie apocalypse, maybe some towers were down.
Maybe. You might be right. I think she's dead, though.
Because I thought it kept, when he was calling, it kept saying like, essentially, the number you're calling is unavailable.
Yeah. Also, poor pregnant woman, like, talking about, we've talked about the Babadook on this podcast and going from the expectation of like, all right, I'm going to have this child with my husband, and then all of a sudden you're immediately a single parent. Like, I kind of think this woman is immediately a mother of two, because I think that Sue Ann's mom's dead. I think they're sticking together. So she goes from like about to have the nuclear family to like, all right, I'm a single mom with two kids from 0 to 2.
I hope her baby makes it.
Yeah. Oh, that didn't even occur to me
It's a
that the
lot of
baby might not.
trauma. That's a lot of trauma to go through when you're pregnant.
Yeah. It's also
The
a marvel.
running, the jumping, the falling,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
True, true. It is a lot. She's very fit. I couldn't do those things without carrying a baby.
I think the adrenaline helps. I mean, look at like old rich man was able to walk on his like broken ankle.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, great job.
Yeah, I loved it. Thanks for suggesting it.
Yay. Thanks for being down. And thank you guys for listening. We'll keep you posted on whatever we do next, or more likely, we'll just release it and then you'll know. Hey, that's what they did next.
That's our new catchphrase. Hey, that's what they do next.
Yeah, I like it. Leave us a review. Nobody left a review in a while. We like them.
Yeah, just we'll be on Instagram if you have anything to say.
Yeah, reach out. Stay safe. Stay home.
Yes, stay smart for God's sakes.
Yeah, don't go to the beach.
Seriously, it's summer. Why? Who wants to go to the beach anyway? It's so hot.
It's too hot. Stay home.
Yeah, just stay
Get a
home.
fan.
Turn the AC down. Pretend it's winter. Put out Christmas lights.
Yeah. December and May, please.
Just December until December.
Bye.
Bye.